But it's working now.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you. Okay, so we are, sorry, I was on the slide. So prior to being at the Heart for my PhD, I was in the Virgin Islands for my master's, and prior to that, I was at Michigan State University. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself, feel free to contact me at any time. You can contact me via email at the email address below if you have any questions about service learning. I'm happy to assist because I really, really believe in this program. We're going to cover 3 topics today. The first one is going to be, what is service learning and why would it be important in your classroom? The second is, how did I use it in my classroom? And finally, how can you incorporate service learning into your classroom? So there's 3 topics. It's pretty simple. We're just going to go through all of those. Again, if you have questions, just let me know. And we can talk at the end too. So first of all, what is service learning? The ACC Service Learning Program works to match ACC faculty with local community organizations and supports them as they plan and implement a semester or a year-long service learning project. Service learning projects engage students in academically relevant volunteer opportunities, both in person and virtual, as a required component of their ACC course curriculum. And finally, excuse me, faculty who are interested in implementing their own service learning project should contact Sabrina Groves. Her picture is on the right to learn more about the ACC Service Learning Online Training and Fellowship Program. You can contact her directly, and she knows about this presentation today, so she's happy to speak with you about the program and what they have to offer. Okay, so why would it be important in a classroom? Why is student learning important? I think that from my experience personally, it just gives the students a connection to their local community, especially in Austin. The Office of Experiential Learning, which is Sabrina Groves' office, they have a training program that they put you through to understand this more before you decide to incorporate the curriculum into your class. Essentially, it's meaningful service, course content, critical reflection that all comes into service learning, which is in the middle. And then on the right-hand side, you have a community partner, yourself as the instructor, the student is involved, and that is student learning as well. So these are all key components of service learning. Okay, so how did I use it in my classroom? I teach the Introduction to Environmental Science, and our book focuses on sustainability. So that is how I decided to bring the curriculum and the service learning project into my class, just because in every chapter we talk about sustainability. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today so that you understand what that means and how I decided to connect my students with the Office of Energy and Sustainability. Sustainability is a central theme in the class I teach, as I mentioned. After taking the service learning course, I was connected to the ACC Office of Energy and Sustainability. And right today we have Andy Kim, who is the director of that office, and also Jasmine, and she's helped to put this together. But when we first started doing it, Sabrina connected me to Andy because she realized that connection. So that was very, very helpful. Sabrina's really good at connecting people with the community. And at the time, I didn't even know the Office of Energy and Sustainability existed. So Sabrina was really that bridge to connect us, but since then it's been very useful. So since that time, we've had 4 projects so far in 4 semesters, which we'll cover further on in the presentation, so you can see how they actually have worked. Sustainability, again, is the connection of economy, society, and the environment, and that sustainability component is the center. It means meeting our own needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. In addition to natural resources, we also need social and economic resources. And embedded in most definitions of sustainability, we also find concerns for social equity and the economic development. So with all of this in mind and having that as central theme in my class, it was a perfect match with the Office of Energy and Sustainability. It means living within our planet's means so that Earth can sustain us and all of life for the future. Sustainability means developing solutions that work in the long term. So with that being said, developing solutions that work in the long term brought us to the connecting students to the Office of Energy and Sustainability, as I mentioned. With Sabrina Groves teaching the class, she was a service learning coordinator at the time. We decided to implement the program into ENVR 1301, which is the class number at ACC. The projects were developed by Andy Kim, who is with us today as well. So he can definitely speak more about this and how it's really inspired the students. And the final presentations were sent to the Office of Energy and Sustainability at the end of the term. These are a list of the projects that we've done to date. The first one started in the fall of 2020, which was recycling in Austin. That was our first topic. The City of Austin, Austin Community College has set a goal to become zero waste by 2040. ACC and the Office of Energy and Sustainability on search of ways to increase awareness and education on waste reduction, develop new program designs to increase diversion rates, improve waste data tracking methods, and enhance waste management successes. So for the first assignment in the fall of 2020, the student assignment was, how can we do this? And it really, I left it very open-ended so that they felt empowered with the project. And it actually worked in my benefit to have it that way. I mean, some of the presentations were a page long, some did PowerPoints, some did 3 or 4 pages. Some of them just did images, connecting images to each other, but everyone had a very unique, creative way to approach this. And it definitely incorporated curriculum that we were learning throughout the class with the book, but it really gave them a hands-on connection to the community. Like, this is an actual real project that the Office of Energy and Sustainability is working on. And it empowered my students to have them be able to speak on this themselves and know that their project and what they submitted to me would go directly to Andy. And with that in mind, I gave them a lot of time to do this. They had pretty much the whole term, or maybe a couple weeks less, because I introduced it a couple weeks into the semester. But I gave them a long time to prepare it. And then it's always due at the end, or when the final is at the very end of class, so that they can incorporate everything that they learned into the project. The second one, in spring of 2021, we talked about proposals A and B and traffic in Austin, which we all know is a huge issue. Austin approved both proposals A and B in November of 2020. One of the biggest challenges at ACC is how can we reduce the single occupant vehicles, or SOVs, coming to campus and encouraging students to use that mode of transportation. So the student assignment was to, one, evaluate the bond package, and secondly, to propose a campaign regarding how ACC can reduce the use of SOVs, which they did very well on as well. In the summer of 2021, we talked about energy, because this was right after the huge storm we had in February of 2021. The Texas electrical grid was in the spotlight earlier this year with the historic winter storm. So with days of power outage and water shortage, it forced us to scramble to survive. This frequent extreme weather pattern is making it unbearable, especially for those who are physically and economically challenged. The utility is a limited resource that we all have to learn to share. During this time, ACC can demonstrate leadership and build resiliency for the community. So the student assignment for this one was, how would you prepare and respond to this challenge at ACC? And I think that overall, I mean, I had great responses for all of the presentations, but I think that this one really hit home in particular because so many people were impacted by the storm. And I also was teaching when the storm hit, and I completely redesigned this class so that right after the storm, all we talked about was energy. And I think that fueled their response to this particular assignment because they were much more, I guess, passionate, maybe a good word, or they had a lot fueling this response. So the summer of 21 was very interesting. And finally, in the fall of 2021, there was a global conference on sustainability that was offered for free to all students and faculty. And what the assignment was is to pick one session, attend, and write about it, and how can it improve ACC's sustainability practices. And they all did very well with this too. And they, it was interesting how they ended up choosing different topics throughout the course of the conference, and who chose which ones and how they applied it. It was all very different and diverse. So that was really interesting as well. But overall, I plan to continue working with Andy's office in the future because I've received such a good response. People really become engaged, and that's important. Especially, I've been teaching online, of course, since COVID, and it's the engagement and the connection to the students can be really difficult. So Andy and I have created a way for them to feel empowered and a way for them to feel connected to the community through this program. So I would really encourage you to create something like this, especially if you're teaching virtually, because it gives them a way to know that they're making a difference. And I think that as a student, that's really important. So how can you incorporate it? Excuse me one second, there's someone else waiting. So let me let someone else in here. Okay, how can you incorporate service learning into your classroom? You can do it pretty easily. You do have to take the service learning training, but it's pretty easy and it's actually a really fun class. So I would highly recommend it. I've given you the link here so you can review the requirements of what's involved with the service learning program. Then you can submit your course proposal. The course proposal enables you to begin planning your very own service learning course. The form should take no more than 10 minutes and is designed for use by new and veteran service learning faculty. So it's really easy. You can just go to the website and see what it's all about. It's a great program, definitely. Let me see here. Okay, so that is my presentation for today. And I appreciate you all being patient with the technical difficulties in the beginning. But I'm happy to answer questions. I've also included Sabrina Grove's contact information at the bottom left and Andy Kim, his contact information on the right, if any of us can be of assistance to you as you move forward and decide to possibly incorporate this into your class. And let's see, I think there's some questions perhaps on the chat. ACC Earth Week Passport Contest. Okay. Oh, that was from Jasmine. Okay, so if you have questions, feel free to unmute yourself now and you can ask those questions, or you can type them in the chat if you want to. Does anyone have questions right now?
Elena, it was great. Thanks for presenting this case, and to anybody who's in the call, especially faculty members. So I didn't do much. Elena did a huge lift of creating these courses with the students. And I will say one thing that about incorporating service learning, especially when it comes to the energy and sustainability. There are so many issues and problems that we are tackling every day, not just at ACC, at your home, globally. So if you think about, the practices at Austin or globally, there are a lot of different topics that you can talk about it. So I highly encourage you to check with the service learning department. And then also Elena kindly offered her help as well. So she can be a good resources for moving forward, creating the service learning classes at ACC.
Yes, thank you, Andy. It's been a real pleasure to work with you and Jasmine and Sabrina. And it's just really I think that it's nice to see the students light up about something, and they really light up about this. And I know it's hard, even if you're teaching virtually, which you may be, to see that. And you can really see that reflected in the assignments that have been submitted to Andy. And at the end of every term, actually, I should say too that Andy creates a word cloud of different themes that are pulled from all of the assignments. And then I send that word cloud back to the students so that they can kind of get an idea in a very general way, and of course, an anonymous way too, what other students are thinking or what highlighted words came out of the project. So that's been a real reflective moment for them too. And that's how I circle back to them and connect them with the responses and with how the Office of Energy and Sustainability interpreted their submission. So that's another thing that you might want to think about too, is once the service learning project is complete, how are you going to bring that full circle and share that experience back to the students? Okay, well, this is how your work contributed to the bigger picture. If that helps at all. But Andy, thank you. So it's always been great to work with you and Sabrina and Jasmine. So I appreciate it. Are there any other questions right now?
I can add one more thing. With the pandemic, I think that we picked really good topics with Elena's class because of we are mostly remote at the time. But moving forward, I think there can be a lot of different in-person service-only project we can do with classes as well at ACC.
Okay, yeah, you think that you could do other projects with other classes, you mean, Andy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think that, I mean, I don't know what all of you are teaching that is everyone participating in this meeting today. But yeah, I think that too, that you could, I don't know, there's a whole variety of service learning, I don't know, topics I think that you could probably work with Andy to develop into your curriculum. So I hope that helps as well. Any other questions? Everyone good? Okay, well, great. Jasmine, if you can maybe circulate the recorded presentation with the closed captions, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll connect with you after this and get the recording from you, and then I'll do that.
Okay, sounds great. All right, well, thank you. It was a pleasure being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, it's great to see you, Andy and Jasmine. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. And feel free to contact me if you have questions.
Thank you.
Okay,
Have a good day.
You too, thanks.